These are my favorite topper shades. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be doing another top 10 shimmer video, and today we're going to be talking about toppers. Last month I talked all about silver eyeshadows, and I slowly but surely want to make my way through a lot of different shimmer formulas that I have in my collection, and toppers are definitely like a separate thing. We see toppers in palettes, of course, but I also love them as singles, and it's sort of like an ode to the look that I've got going on today. If you saw me create this look on Tuesday with a lot of the new and YESSTYLE things, then you already know what's on my face today, but I think that those can also fall into the topper category. So before we get to these products, I do have to tell you what I think a topper is. Toppers are usually any eyeshadow that have more of a transparent or translucent base that can be used to top over other things. So by themselves, they of course will have shine and shifts and whatever, but if you layer them over other shades, they might look completely differently. So I will be swatching all of these, but I am going to be swatching them for you on the back of my hand without anything else. So these are probably not going to look as impressive as if, for instance, some of these were swatched over a much deeper eyeshadow. Navies, blacks, dark chocolate brown, can very often manipulate what these shades look like. So they're a lot of fun to play with. I very often use them as part of really quick and easy eyeshadow looks where I just use a very sheer base and then I just apply the shimmer all over the lid to make it look a little bit more like effortless. So some of these fall into the one and done category for me, or they are more fun, whimsical, ethereal looking shades that I'm sharing with you today. I've got a couple actually in like packaging single pans, but I also pulled some singles from my actual singles collection that I keep in palettes, and I'm going to talk you through what all of these things are and swatching them for you. So first things first, I am currently wearing these two shades from Sheen Effect, and these shades kind of made me think of this video idea as well. I didn't own these before, but I've been seeing people on TikTok using these for quite some time now, and I was like, ooh, I really want to try those. So when I got the opportunity to get a gift card from YESSTYLE with some, like, because of the affiliation program that I'm part of, I have a code with YESSTYLE in case you want to get 5% off. It's FloatDream23, and that's how I got my hands on these two singles. One of them is an Artist, which I believe is this one, and as you can see, I think these are magnetic because there's a little like tab to the side of this eyeshadow, and this is really beautiful. It's sort of like flashing green, blue, purple, but without the warmth and still very sort of sheer. So I think if you see this as a full-on swatch, I hope you can see this best. I'll actually swatch this right here on the inside of my hand so that I can really hopefully show you this shift, because then I can move my hand a little bit better. But you can see it's sort of like a sheer pinky base, and then it just has lots of different sparkle to it. It's incredibly easy to work with. I just put it on my lids for the first time and I feel like $1,000,000. So these are really pretty. And the Sheen Effect eyeshadows are known to be all quite sort of like translucent, iridescent, especially once you start working with them. Of course, this is applied with a finger, and I did apply this shade all over the lid with a finger. So you can very easily manipulate these to make them look more sheer. If you use them with brushes, they can be blended. So that makes them very versatile. The other one I have is Lost Dream, and this in the pan just looks like a standard like white, but this is like blue, green, pink. It's got loads of different shifts to it as well. Again, I don't think that this lighting is doing it any justice. We've got some sun coming in as well, so I was hoping that would help with what these look like, but you can see it a little bit here. I think you can see the blue, the green, and a little bit of that pinky purple it has as well. Again, I'll swatch it right next to the other one, and it's sort of like this like blue light effect, and you can see that this has a little less of a base than the other one has. So the other one has more of a base to it, but it can be sheared out. This is just sheer to begin with. So the Sheen Effect eyeshadows do have different things, and I've used the other one, Lost Dreams, all the way in my inner corner, and I even pulled it down a little bit, which is something I don't normally do, but hey, we need to have a little bit of fun with our makeup as well. So these two definitely inspired this video today. And I have something else that's really new that by the time you're watching this video, I may or may not have already posted my new Essence video. But this new eyeshadow from Essence, it's the Mono Eyeshadow Glitter in Blushed Stardust. And it's so similar to some of the other things I'm about to show you that I already knew I liked. But this is really beautiful. And the minute I swatched this, I was like, oh, that's Urban Decay Space Cowboy, but by Essence. So this is really pretty. It does have a little bit of like a nude base to it, but this paired with other neutrals is going to be super pretty. And these are the kind of shades where, you know what I said about like pairing these with one and dones? Like this is so beautiful. If you like are able to like just do a very basic look, maybe a bit of bronzer in the crease, and then this all over the lid, and it's just going to look wet. So pretty, but it's gonna go with so many different things because of how shiny this is, and it feels really creamy. Another shade that reminds me of is ColourPop's Ritz. So my Ritz is atrocious looking because it's really old and I've hit pan on it, and it's a little bit crumbly. I do have a backup of this because I like it so much. Whenever I travel with this. This is so beautiful paired with other neutrals. I love pairing it with the Trinity London eyeshadow that I love as a one and done. And I think this is why I want to swatch it next to the Essence, because I actually think that the Essence is like a perfect like rendition of this. It's Ritz really, because Ritz also has this like nudie base and then like sparkle to it. Oh yeah, these are very similar. Like, I feel like the ColourPop has perhaps, like, you can see it's got more of a base even than the Essence one has. But once the light hits it, they both look identical. And I love Ritz as a topper. Like I said, I take it with me when I travel, especially a bit of So Quiche or that Trinity London eyeshadow that I mentioned, just fluffed all over the lid and then putting this on top and you're out the door. And it's so, so easy and effortless and just a great shadow to use. But I already mentioned that the Essence eyeshadow also reminds me of Space Cowboy by Urban Decay. This is one of their Moon Dust shadows. This had a bit of popularity when these first were reformulated into this. And the minute I swatched that Essence eyeshadow, I was like, that's exactly like Space Cowboy. So I want to put that theory to the test straight away and swatch Space Cowboy next to Ritz and the Essence shade. Ooh, Space Cowboy is even, like, well, it's not darker, but it's even more of a base compared to the Essence. So the Essence one, which is the cheapest option, is quite possibly the best one here. But it's very similar to Space Cowboy, I find. Again, Space Cowboy, I did a look with actually exactly what I was describing over the Christmas period. I did a look with the Trinity London eyeshadow. It's the Eye to Eye in Mystery that I love a lot. And then I topped it with Space Cowboy, a bit of mushroom to add some definition around the lash line. And I felt like $1,000,000. It was really pretty. I think I actually wore that look in a video I filmed a couple of weeks ago as well. And I really, really loved it. So yeah, Space Cowboy, ColourPop Ritz, and Essence Blushed, what's it called again? Blushed Moonlight? Blushed Stardust are all very similar, but I definitely think that the Essence one has to be my favorite. Then we get to the other, like the final two shadows, and I kind of count these as one, but these are by Jooycee, whatever this brand is called. They're a Sea Beauty brand, and they do these really beautiful toppers. I definitely think if you're looking for, like Sheen Effect is a Sea Beauty brand as well, and they are nailing sparkly, iridescent, great sort of toppery eyeshadows that make you feel like a fairy princess. And Josie is another one. I have D114 and MT122, and I've filmed looks with these as well, so if I can find those videos, I'll make sure to link those down below. Same with the look that I did with the Trinity London shade and Space Cowboy. This is like a silver with a hint of green. I've been taking these traveling now as well, because again, they just add so much texture and interest to any look without much effort whatsoever. Like, you just put these on and it looks so, so pretty. So here is D114, yeah, that's right here. So it's like a pinky, greeny silver almost. It's really interesting. And then MT122 is a little bit more of like a taupey silver. This again has a little bit more of a base to it, but these two together are really pretty too. And I believe, if I remember correctly from when I bought these on YESSTYLE, the Josie shades do come in different textures. So some of them are more glitter heavy and others are a little bit more satin. So I believe that the D114 one is a little bit more of a glitter, and then this one goes more towards the satin realm. But you can see that these are so, so pretty, and I love wearing these. And I actually took these traveling when I went to London, and the lady at the counter was like, "What's on your eyes? It looks pretty." And then none of these people who work at makeup counters have heard of loads of K or C beauty brands, so I'm always introducing them to different brands. I went into MAC the other day to be like color matched to the Studio Radiance foundation, because that's one that I'm contemplating buying, but I didn't know what shade I would be. I'm probably N11 from what we can tell so far. But it was already later in the day, so I actually want to go back to MAC and see if they can apply to my full face. And when the lady asked me what was on my face, I was wearing my Misha BB cream, and she was like, "Oh, I've never heard of that brand before." And I'm like, "Yep, I can teach you something as well," which I always enjoy. And then I just took a couple of random, well, they're not random singles. These are old toppers that I have in my single palette somewhere. There's 3 Clionadh multi-chromes. Clionadh I love for these toppery shades, because within their stained glass collection, they have an entire section that's essentially these white-based translucent glittery toppers. And those are some of my favorites in the entire Clionadh range. Like, they do the craziest multi-chromes ever, but these are the ones, like, whenever I do a BYOP and I want to use some sort of multi-chrome, I always go for these sheer iridescent glittery things, because they can go with anything. So that's why there's 3 of those. And then I have a round Clionadh one in here. These two are both Sydney Grace. I have a not Luxie Beauty, Touch of Glam shade. I believe they were discontinued a long time ago. Like, that's not a brand anymore. And this one over here is by Glam Shop. So let me talk you through. If I remember correctly, I selected Luxe, Gloaming, and Glisten from my Clionadh eyeshadows. Let me check real quickly whether I remembered correctly that I put them in that order. Yes, because I'm holding it upside down for you guys. So it's Luxe, Gloaming, and Glisten. And I'll swatch all 3 of these on my fingers so you can see. And you can see that these are quite textured. If my camera wants to focus. Oh, here we go. You can see that they're a little like grainy, almost like sugary. Yeah, that's because they have that glittery texture to them. So here we have Luxe, this is Gloaming, and on my ring finger we have Glisten. And I love these. So Gloaming is, I think that one's one of the more special ones. Luxe is a yellow, green, gold. So that goes with loads of different looks. Gloaming, I feel, is a little bit more subtle in terms of what it does. It seems to have a bit more of a blue-purple to it. And then Glisten is actually a pinky lavender. So those are really pretty. Let me see if I can swatch them. And these are really intense, especially Luxe. That's just really, really intense and pretty. So here is those 3 from Clionadh. Oh, this way we can really see. So Luxe, Gloaming, and Glisten. So you can see Glisten is like pinky purple lavender. Gloaming is the more special one of these 3, because yes, it doesn't look as intense and sparkly as the other ones. Like, compared to Luxe, Gloaming doesn't look that interesting, because Luxe is this green, yellow. It doesn't have too much gold. It's more green, yellow, lime almost. It's really, really intense. But I love Gloaming because it goes really well with neutral eyeshadows. Let me see if I can see. It just has so many, and it has a load of different reflex to it. It's like yellowy, pink, and then it has this really like subtle champagne to it as well. It's a little bit more warm toned, but I really like those. Then we'll move on to the two Sydney Gray shades. So the things I have in here are Green Mist and Winter Garden. And these are absolutely stunning. I don't have too many iridescent shade from Sydney Grace because I have my Clionadh eyeshadow palette with all the multi-chromes in, and I tend to just go for those. But Sydney Grace has a couple of these more satin-leaning toppers, I would call them. And Green Mist looks like a white, even when you swatch it on your finger, it just looks like a white. But it has a very subtle green flip. And they also do Red Mist, which has the red flip, and then you do Blue Mist, which has the blue flip. I'm not sure if they still do this shade, but I think it's really pretty, and it's great as an inner corner highlight or topped over other things. And Winter Garden is one of those shades where it looks pinky in the pan, but it has this really beautiful blue lilac iridescence to it. Again, a great shade for doing a really basic eye and just have this be the star of the show. But where everything I've shown you so far is quite glittery and intense, not everybody wants glitter and intense. These are a little bit more subtle. So these are for the people who do want that toppery sort of quality, but they don't want it to be too sparkly. If that's you, if you like more of a satin formula, I can highly recommend Sydney Grace. Of course, I've swatched it in the worst place possible, but here we have Green Mist, and then Winter Garden is right next to it. So these can be really pretty, topped over a very basic eye look if you want to add some interest, but without the sparkle. And then we have three more. We have Touch of Glam, Lucid Lavender, Snowdrift by Sydney Grace, and then the Glam Shop one I have to check. Ooh, because their names are always in Polish and in English on the pen, and I never remember. This is Aurora by Glam Shop. So these are all fitting into a similar category in my brain because they all have this bluey, lilac-y sort of flip to it, and that's like my favorite kind of topper. It's why I went with these shades in the Sheen Effect shadows, because it's just what I like, and I know I like wearing those. So let me swatch those for you. So here we have those three. This is Glam Shop, Clionadh, and this is Lucid Lavender by Touch of Glam. As I mentioned, I don't think Touch of Glam is a thing anymore, so that's a bit of a shame. I'm gonna see if I can just put them on my wrist here. So here we have them. This is the Glam Shop one, this is Clionadh, and this is Lucid Lavender by Touch of Glam. This is definitely more of a multi-chrome. The other two are just duochromes, but really pretty. Like Snowdrift is a baby blue, and then it has this pinky sort of flash to it. It's really pretty. And I also like Aurora. It's like a purpley base, but then it has a green blue sort of sparkly effect to it, which is really pretty. And a little bit more unique in my makeup collection. But Lucid Lavender, I know you probably can no longer buy this, but this is essentially like a green-blue base, and then it has pink, lavender, a little bit of peach in there with a bit of yellow. It's a very special shade. It shifts in so many ways, and therefore I really appreciate it. I'm really glad I was able to pick that up before Touch of Glam went under. But yeah, these are just some of the toppers that I like. So some things that are a little bit more like neutrals, a little bit more wearable for every day. If you want something super sparkly, we have those Clionadh shades as well. We also have those Josie shades if you want to amp up a more neutrally look. And then of course we have the more colorful things with Sheen Effect and the things that are on my wrist here. If I go for a topper shade that is more colorful, I tend to stick within the blue sort of purple category because I feel that that works with most of the makeup looks that I do. But of course you can buy many different multi-chromes and stuff like that. So these are just brands that you can look out for. I hope Touch of Glam is still around. Last I heard they went under a couple of years ago already. So that's a bit of a shame. So that's why I have plenty of other options here. Things that are more affordable, things that are a little cheaper, things that may be harder to find depending on where you're at. Glam Shop is available in the EU. In case you were wondering, they're a Polish brand, so that may be interesting if you are in Europe. And of course, Essence is really easily available if you're in Europe as well. Colourpop is a little easier to get if you're in the US, so and a little bit more affordable as well than like importing an Essence shade. And the Asian beauty things I bought through YESSTYLE, as I mentioned. And then there's Clionadh, Sydney Grace, Clionadh is Canadian, which I think is expensive for everyone if they're not in Canada. Sydney Grace, I tend to buy mainly during their Christmas in July sale, because then you get different perks and extras added on. So that's usually when I wait for placing an order with them. And Clionadh, yeah, they did round shadows, but I don't know. Like, I've never seen them restock them ever since I got those. So not sure what's happening there. So I hope this was helpful if you were looking for a fun topper. Just something to amp up any look, you know? You only need like a couple of these, and then you can do so much, because whenever you have like, especially if you're someone who goes out for drinks or dates or whatever it is that you like doing after work, you could wear a super neutral eye to work. You just pop one of these little singles into your makeup bag and you can touch it up before you head out the door, and you've got your party look ready to go. So I think these are very versatile little shadows that you can get a lot of use out of if you want to. So I think these are great. It's why I like traveling with them so much, because with just very little effort, you can just amp up any look, and that's why I enjoy them so much. So that's why I wanted to come on here to showcase some of my favorite like toppery kind of shades. Of course, there's also some of them in palettes, but those I don't really tend to think of as part of this category. So I'm sure I have loads of palettes that have these sort of sheer things in, like Natasha Denona palettes come to mind. But with these, I don't know why. This is why I still have like single shadows in my collection, because I just like having these separately. So that's why there were a lot of single options here today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Thumbs it up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more by me. I make 4 videos a week on this channel, once a week on my second channel, which is called Floating in Books. And those videos go live on Wednesdays, and you can find the link to that in the description box down below, as well as a link to my Instagram and my TikTok account. So if you want to see me anywhere, you can, and I am going to try and post more shorts as well starting this month. I dabbled around with it in January, but I just decided to purchase CapCut because it just makes it so much easier to edit shorts and stuff. So then I can just do it on my phone, which is so much easier. So thanks so much for joining me, and then I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.